So if you've been thinking about buying in the real estate market and you're wondering if we have a massive bubble similar to 2008 that is about to pop and you're worried about buying, let's talk a little bit about the data and figure out whether it's likely to pop or whether we don't really have a bubble at all. So without further ado, let's get into it. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Conor Green. I'm a realtor here in Tampa Bay. And I wanted to go over a question that I get asked all the time, which is, are we in a housing bubble right now? And is it about to pop? And is it gonna be as bad as 2008? Because in 2008, 2009, 2010, I mean, a lot of people foreclosed, a lot of people lost an incredible amount of financial wealth, went bankrupt, and that's something that's still pretty fresh in people's minds. I mean, we're talking 14 years ago. So that's a big question. And I wanna talk about some of the data, not just my personal opinion, and that way you can form your own personal opinion about it versus me just telling you what I think. So before the 1950s in the US, less than half the country actually owned a home. And since then, after that, you had the GI Bill, home ownership went up, and it's continued to go up. And right now we're about 65%. And with home ownership going up in terms of more people in the US on average owning homes, that also helps bring appreciation and prices up as well too. So if we look at this graph for home appreciation since World War II in 1945, you can see that it has steadily increased, and you can see the massive drop that we had in 2006. And a lot of people looking at this graph will then look to see the appreciation that we've had in 2021 and these past kind of couple of years and think that, well, based on that increase in 2006, I mean, that looks a lot very similar. And so are we gonna have that same huge drop in 2022 as well, or maybe in 2023? And what we have to do is we have to look at what were the real causes behind it, because not everything was the same. It was actually quite different. So back in 2006, what happened was foreclosures flooded the market. All of a sudden you had a massive amount of inventory and simply not enough demand to buy that inventory up. And because there wasn't a lot of demand, then prices are gonna go down. The same way that if you wanted to sell me a bunch of different things and I didn't wanna buy them, I would pay less and less for them. There were two main differences between 2006 and right now. The first of which is that a lot of the people who bought homes back in 2006, really weren't qualified. If you've seen that movie, The Big Short, where they're kind of doing like on the ground research and they're going to Miami and they're going to a strip club and they're talking to strippers who own 4 or 5 different homes, you kind of get what I'm talking about. Basically, lenders were writing loans for people who maybe they could afford 1 home, but definitely not 2, definitely not 3, and definitely not 4. And so these lending practices, because there wasn't as much regulation, caused people to own homes they really shouldn't have. And when everything kind of collapsed, that one person that owns 4 homes and maybe should only own 1 in terms of what they're actually qualified for, they're gonna sell all 4 and they're not gonna sell them for a very high price. And so that was the first big difference. Whereas right now, lending standards are completely different. And if you're not qualified to buy it, you simply can't buy it. The second big difference was that in 2006, people were using their homes like piggy banks. And what I mean by that is they were basically pulling more money out of their home via home equity lines of credit, and they were taking on more debt for that home. So their debt went up for the home, and then when the price of the home slightly decreased, all of a sudden, a lot of homeowners found themselves underwater where they owed more on the home than it was actually worth. And so they just foreclosed, and the places sold for pennies on the dollar. Now today, that's just not the case anymore. Homeowners' equity has doubled since 2006 to now. In just the last year alone, we've seen over $50,000 in equity on average increase, for the average homeowner in the US. So since homeowners now have a lot more equity in their homes, if they have this, small mortgage here and the value of their home is up here and it's increased significantly over the past few years, if it adjusts slightly down, they still are not going to be underwater. In fact, they're far from it. And so what we've seen is that homeowners have learned that lesson, that it's not good to use your home like a piggy bank and put yourself in that situation, and the debt has been kept pretty low. So overall, guys, the data of those two different things is showing that we're not in a bubble. However, I would love to hear your opinion below. Are there any other key data points you think that we should be thinking about? Go ahead, drop a comment below. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. And if you like real estate, if you want to learn more about it, whether it's general market updates or a specific topic, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I make more videos just like this, super easy to understand and nice and straightforward. But that's it for me today, guys. So until next time, this is Conor Green. Have a blessed day.